Hello and welcome to another episode of Clear Your Path to New Beginnings with me, your host, Tori Sachs. And today, a little delayed because it's like Mercury fashion here with the Mercury Retrograde. We're talking about Mercury Retrograde. So, we are specifically talking about the summer retrograde for Mercury. Don't worry, we'll have another one in October, but we don't need to get there yet. We've got so much to talk about here, but we also have eclipse season in between. So I don't want to get you all destabilized with that talk. We're just going to talk about Mercury and this retrograde. And we're specifically talking about when Mercury went retrograde on July 17th, and then when he goes direct on August 11th. But we also got the pre-shadow that happened on June 30th, and then we have the post-shadow, or when Mercury finally leaves the bubble. Really, the post-shadow arc is on the 25th of August, and so I like to say he'll finally leave the bubble on the 26th. So that's the highlights for you. And this is all happening sidereal in the sign of Cancer. Okay, want to back up. Just to remind you guys, I'm an intuitive energy healer, specializing in Eastern modalities. So what does that mean? Like I'm a Reiki healer, really a Reiki master. Sorry. I'm a crystal healer, and I'm also a Vedic astrologer. And today we're talking about the energetics of our friend Mercury. And I am a Vedic astrologer or Jyotisha. So Jyotish literally means the eyes of the Vedas. So they used it to foresee things. It wasn't just predictive. Like when we look at the chart, we look at the energetics and we can foresee, but we also pick up on what happened in the past and understand patterns, which is really cool. And because I'm a Vedic astrologer, I use the sidereal system and not the tropical system. So, like, I have friends that are Western tropical astrologers. We talk about very similar things, but we may do it in different ways. Like, for example, I'm going to be talking about how Mercury is in Cancer, but Mercury retrograde for tropical astrologers is happening in Leo. But here's the thing, the dates that I'm talking about, still put them in the calendar, still totally helpful for you. The other thing is that we're still talking about the energetics of Mercury retrograde. We're just doing it a little bit differently because the sign is kind of giving that personality and flavor. But overall, Mercury retrograde is the same in whatever sign he would be going in. It's just how is it affecting you? And you've gone through tons of Mercury retrogrades. So, the purpose of this is really just to like help you and give you awareness and guidelines so that you can move forward in a really purposeful way. And so I want to kind of empower you during this time where it can be a little disempowering, or that's at least what the energetics around it has been. And as someone that just left a really intense 17-year cycle of being heavily ruled by Mercury, I can honestly tell you it is so refreshing to look at things through a new set of eyes now that I'm in this new time period. So let's get started. So on June 30th, Mercury started his pre-shadow. Actually, I want to back up from that because I realize that not all of you may know what Mercury is. Okay, so Mercury rules our mental body. A lot of times, we notice during a retrograde or just in general that Mercury rules anxiety. Mercury rules overwhelm. Mercury rules the mental mind, being overwhelmed, right? Being like spun up in the mind, and having a hard time grounding because Mercury is the messenger. He's able to go all over, even into the underworld. He's like, of all the gods and planets, the one that could go wherever he wanted to go, right? Mercury is communication. Mercury is, and I want to say all forms of communication. So it's like reading, writing, speaking, all the things. Um, Mercury also rules technology. So we like see some technology snafus during this time, right? Like, oh, for some reason my phone isn't working the way I want it to, or my computer, or my printer just all of a sudden printed that page from like 3 weeks ago. I don't know why, or all of a sudden it doesn't want to print. Or if you were like me, like my refrigerator because one button wasn't pressed, wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and then, oh wait, no, it's fine. Once you press the button, certain things like that. Um, so it rules technology. Um, it also rules sales and marketing, right? So um, it also, like I said, communication. So a lot of miscommunication. Or I heard what you were saying, but I interpreted it in a different way, or I read your text message, but for some reason I thought something else. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times that has happened to me. So that's all examples of Mercury and kind of like how Mercury goes to the wayside in a retrograde, right? So now that you have like a little bit more foundation on Mercury, oh, he also rules the color green. So I like to say, I mean, that's why I like to wear green eyeliner and eyeshadow because I want to call on those energetics and like kind of help calm out Mercury. So that's one thing that super easy remedy that you can do during this or this Mercury retrograde or like anytime, right? And it costs you like zero money. You could even look at the color green if you're like, Tori, I don't have, and I'm not asking you to go out there and buy green makeup, but like, Tori, I don't want to wear makeup or I don't have this. So it was like really easy, like throw on a green shirt or undergarment or jacket or just go and look at the color green. Okay, so let's get back. So on June 30th, Mercury entered his pre-shadow period. So that simply means that the start of Mercury retrograde was like in effect, even though he wasn't technically retrograde yet. Um, but for me, I've always found that it's important to note the pre and the post shadow. And so on the 30th, the themes for what you might be dealing with or what has kind of like come up started on the 30th of June. So what I like to think about when we're talking about Mercury retrograde is it could have been like an easy example would be like, hey, your friend and you or wanted to go to lunch or go to a meal together. So like the pre-shadow could have been like you get a text or a phone call from your friend being like, hey, what are you doing on July 17th? And be like, hey girl, I'm totally available. Let's go to brunch. Let's go to lunch. Let's go do all the things, right? And so maybe that happened between the 30th and July 16th, right? And then on the 17th, Mercury goes retrograde. And so, again, in this little example, you're supposed to go meet your friend for brunch, lunch, all the things on the 17th. But then on the 17th, oh, wait, your friend changes, or you change your mind, and you're like, actually, this isn't going to work for me. Something came up, something came on my schedule. Let's try a different date. And that whole Mercury retrograde cycle from July 17th until August 11th, you just keep going back and forth. You're like, let's do this date. Oh, wait, no, I can't do this date. Or let's do this date. Oh, no, I can't do this date. Until maybe August 11th when you're like, okay, actually, my schedule cleared up and I think I could do August 20th. Can you do August 20th? And you're like, yes, I can do August 20th, right? And then you actually go do the thing on August 20th because Mercury went direct on August 11th, but we're still in that post shadow. So we still have those themes, like that thing that you thought was like, oh, check. No, it's not checked off until the 25th, right? So then you're like, oh, yeah, let's go do the lunch. And then finally, on the 25th, you can be like, I don't have to even worry about that lunch or that thing or all the things with my friend because we went and did the thing. Finally, it took a good back and forth for like 6 weeks or something, 6 to 8 weeks, and now we're done. So hopefully that kind of made sense for what Mercury retrograde looks like. But like again, really simple, pre-shadow. We're getting some themes about what we might um be what might be happening. And this happens to be in Pushya. So this happens in Cancer, a really nurturing sign, sign of the mother, sign of the womb. It's heart energy. It is the emotional body. Mercury is actually the mythology. Mercury comes from the moon, which is the emotional body. Um, can say in some mythology that the moon, if we're looking at the moon as a planet, that the moon was like the dad of Mercury, in some ways. And so it has that energetics in there, but we also talk about because Mercury is very logical, right? He rules Gemini and Virgo. He's very mercurial, logical, likes data, right? Likes information. So about education, he's all about learning, consuming more and more and more of this information that Mercury doesn't always like feeling the feels, and he's in a very feeling the feels sign of Cancer. Don't get me wrong. Cancer is beautiful. It's got water energy. It's helping us connect to the feminine and mother and all those things. But for someone that's very logical, this might be a time where just illogical things happen, illogical emotions come up, or just, oh my gosh, I can't even believe someone acted that way to me right now. This feels very illogical to me. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just came out of my mouth. It was so illogical, right? Um, but Pushya specifically has to do with resources and nourishment and how we get them. And so during this time of Mercury retrograde, it might be a time where you start reviewing how can I change how I want to get nourishment? How do I change my thoughts? Maybe my beliefs, so that I can feel more nourished on both the mental and emotional level because we have that tie in here. And that's going to be really important. So, in a way, this Mercury retrograde is going to be super helpful to process and reflect so you can get your needs met. So yeah, then on July 17th, in the part of the zodiac that is called Ashlesha. It's still in Cancer. Everything's still in Cancer, but there are portions, there's about three portions to each sign. And so when Mercury stationed retrograde, so in that pre-shadow was thinking about resources and nourishment. And then because he goes really fast, then the day that he stationed retrograde, he was in Ashlesha. So this is represented by the serpent. I think of this a lot of the times like kind of like Medusa energy. Um, but he is in Ashlesha. This is like deep healing and mystical powers, but just really deep healing, intuition, using in this year of the snake in Chinese medicine, using serpent energy to help heal, using maybe something that was poison or triggering or traumatic to actually help us heal in this part of the zodiac that is Ashlesha. And this is actually a Mercury ruled nakshatra. So Pushya is ruled by Saturn and Ashlesha is ruled by Mercury. So again, double Mercury action here. And so with that, maybe we notice that even more at the beginning half of Mercury retrograde, that our thoughts, our decision making is not clear. And so I know for me, there's been a little bit lack of clarity. And so if there's a lack of clarity, do not move forward. Or if it feels better to make a choice, know that like, hey, I'm making this choice because I need to, but I may have to change my mind. I'm making a choice because I need to make a choice. Because if I don't make a choice, it's going to make me more spun up. And I want to come from a grounded place. But just know that during this time, you may have to go back, and it may not be right now or during Mercury retrograde or in the post shadow, but you may have to make changes for that. So I think if you can come from that more like compassionate and like giving yourself grace and being graceful about it, then, oh, I'm I'm setting this in stone that this is happening, I think it's going to be a lot easier for you. Or I know at least from my experience, it's going to be easier. So also thinking about retrogrades and going internal. So from July 17th until about August 11th, Mercury is retrograde. And so that's the time where, again, we want to be more reflective. So here's like some of the things that I've been doing, and I've been telling people this. Um, because of where Mercury is placed in my chart, but also because Mercury rules learning, and Jupiter also rules learning, but Mercury rules learning and courses and classes from the last retrograde in March and April. I didn't get to, or I knew about classes, but I was like, I'm going to sign up for this because I want to make sure my spot that I hold my spot. But I know that I actually am not at capacity right now to take in this information. And so what I decided to do instead is I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my spot, and later down the road, I'm gonna look at stuff. Did I know that it was gonna happen right during this retrograde? No, I thought I was gonna get to it like a good few months ago. But this is the beauty of the planets, right? And the beauty of the planets helping us. And the planets were like, look, girl, you thought you were going to get to this before, but Mercury retrograde is the exact right time for you. So that's what I'm doing. There's been some courses and classes and learnings that I wanted to take to bring to my private practice and help with clients and understanding more of the energetics of so many different things. And Mercury retrograde is giving me that space to do that. There's other things that maybe you've put to the side or I've put to the side. Like I went through all my emails. There were a bunch of things that I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like doing that right now. For some reason, Mercury retrograde is like, girl, this is the time that you need to do that. So that's what I've been doing. Like I said, we're in retrograde. So we're in cleanup. And that's what a retrograde is. And why um we call it retrograde, the planet is not actually moving backwards. But to our perception, I will say it feels like it's moving backwards, but to our perception here on planet Earth, it looks like that planet is moving backwards. So that's why we talk about it as a retrograde. But the other thing with retrogrades is that planets, like I have retrograde planet, I have a retrograde planet in my chart. It's actually, I would say, probably much more common to have a retrograde planet in your chart versus all planets direct. But when we get retrograde energy in a chart, it means a few things. One, if we're looking at it from a past life perspective, that there's past life karma that needs to get fulfilled. It's also helping to bring in sensitivities or a new way of looking at things because when we see a retrograde planet in the chart, we know, hey, this planet is not going to function like a normal, and I don't even love saying normal, like a direct planet is going to function. So the beautiful thing about retrogrades and a retrograde planet is that you could come at something in a really unconventional way. So looking at Mercury, you can be unconventional in your thinking or your learning. And that makes you the beautiful person that you are. And that makes you, maybe you communicate in a different way. And so, because of that, you can help people in different ways. Maybe instead of, listening to what people are saying, you're picking up on the energetics, right? Like me. Or maybe instead of listening to what people are saying, you're looking at their body language because language is ruled by Mercury, and language and body language is also communication, right? So maybe that is your magic, right? And working with a Mercury, depending on how it is in your chart. So just wanted to look at it like that. So on August 11th, Mercury goes direct. And so we say he goes direct, and he does, but it's not like, oh, I flipped a switch and all the lights are off and now all the lights are on. No, it's a much more gradual process in the sense that we're like, okay, Mercury's now come to a stop. He's no longer running backwards. He's no longer looking at the previous house, right? And now he is starting to turn himself around and move forward. But that doesn't mean that it's like full speed ahead, Bronco. I would even say, because the day that he turns stations direct, we want to wait and we want to feel that energy because we're feeling especially in our mental body, that Mercury is making this pretty drastic movement. And so it may take a few days for you to get all the downloads and the illuminations. But that's the thing. Like typically when a retrograde, a planet stations direct, that's when we start getting illuminations. Especially in that post shadow, which is from the 11th through the 25th. So we're starting to get illuminations on the themes that are coming up in your life and specifically in this area of the chart. So it might be illuminations between how can I nourish myself and how do I need to focus on nourishment into that, okay, well, actually, I realized that this thing that felt poisonous or this serpent energy, and again, serpent energy looks like shedding of the skin. That's a very much about rapid transformation that we're going through from a Chinese medicine perspective this year. So it's okay, I'm shedding my skin so that I can be nourished, so that I can move into nourishment, which is what I need, and then move forward. So I hope this was helpful for you. I wish you well during this retrograde. Oh, I just realized I didn't give you tons of remedies. So, okay, really quick, like I said, wear the color green. That's going to be super helpful um, for you, or just working with the energetics of green. I also like to work with Archangel Raphael, who stands on your right side. You can view this archangel as either feminine or masculine. Also, hugely correlated to Reiki healing energy. But Archangel Raphael is not only of the air element, just like Mercury, but Archangel Raphael is also associated with the emerald green ray. So again, Mercury, Mercury. So I like to work with Archangel Raphael actually every day, all the time, but great especially to work with during this Mercury retrograde time, and especially during this time when we need grounding, we need to clear out our mental energy. Um, what else? Okay, so we have the color green, super easy and helpful. Oh, other thing I want to say about Archangel Raphael, when you get a bunch of green lights, you know that this angel is present. And I love you. I don't do this much when other people are in the car, but when I'm in the car by myself, and like a green light, like you immediately get a green light or you get like rows of green lights. I'm like, thank you, Archangel Raphael. I really appreciated that. Okay, so other um, easy colors, because colors have energy that you can work with to help you with Mercury retrograde is, well, just really mental and the mental body all the time would be like, you could work with the color blue. That's going to be really calming, really harmonizing. It's like same color as the throat chakra. So it's really going to help you. Then we also have purple. Purple is going to harmonize our masculine and feminine energy. And so it's really going to help, especially it's helpful for Mercury because Mercury is, even though we call him, or I give him a gender as male. But in the mythology, Mercury is associated with actually changing gender, and kind of like being a little bit, I would say like confused. But that also has to do with the mythology of his wife who changed gender. And so he changed his gender depending on what gender she was, if that makes sense. And so purple is going to be very harmonizing because Mercury can be both on an energetic level, masculine or feminine. So it's going to be really helpful to wear that color to help harmonize. Going out in nature is going to be super helpful. Working with grounding stones of like the soothing, grounding black ray is going to be helpful, like black tourmaline, hematite. It's of the silver ray, but it's also a grounding stone. Selenite is going to be really nice. You could also work with spirit quartz or blue lace agate or um, black calcite or blue calcite. No, sorry. Black kyanite and blue kyanite. Blue kyanite is actually If we wanted to go with a preference, I would say blue kyanite because that's associated with the causal chakra that has to do with like our air energy in our head, which is located back here. And so that stone is going to be super harmonizing. Um, Other things you can do is with your breathing, working on breath work to really help you get out of the head, back into the heart, and into the physical body. Going out in nature, walks, grounding. Um, those are all going to be high level, super easy things that you can do. Of course, I would love to see you in session either for a reading or for a healing session. Those are also going to be really beneficial. But if you just wanted to work with some easy things that you don't even have to invest in anything, then the recommendations I gave you. If you want specific recommendations, come in for a session. So I hope this was helpful. I look forward to seeing you in either the next video or in a healing session. So follow for more, and I wish you well during this potent, they're always potent, right? Mercury retrograde, where we can move through a lot and learn so many lessons, but it helps us to become better people. So wish you well.